All right, you guys, got a little bit more of this topic for y'all. Kendrick Lamar is rap's worst hypocrite. I want to see my guy DH thoughts on this. Y'all go check him out. I'm gonna have the original video linked. I did talk about this initially in my video. If you look, I did a Kendrick Lamar's canceled video. Y'all go leave your thoughts on that. I have evolved some of my feelings about the situation since then, but my guy DH is very thought-provoking and he might say something that sparks something else. But I will be doing another video talking about the historical parallels between Kendrick Lamar in this situation and pro-black organizations, and some of the parallels I see there between the dynamics between like abusers, women, things of that nature. So if you guys want an actual nuanced conversation, we're not doing any fan stuff, okay? Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite and one of my GOAT rappers, but at the end of the day, I have a working, functioning brain, and it doesn't just turn off because I'm a fan of someone's music or I respect what they do. To be clear, any criticism of Kendrick doesn't mean that his career or any of his messages are invalid. Like, I'm tired of seeing people try to make that argument. If someone else is making that argument, argue with them, but that's not what I'm saying. But there is depth and nuance to this discourse that I think needs to be had without having your fan cap on. So if you're a fan or interested in that type of thing, this is the perfect video for you, because I don't give watered down takes and pick a side like this is a team. I give critical and nuanced analysis, and so does my guy DH. So y'all definitely go check him out too. Let's see what my guy DH got to say about this topic.
Cardi ended up dropping his album after 5 years, and the Playboy Cardi ended up dropping with the notorious people obviously raised, and the internet was surprised that Kendrick Lamar was a feature. Normal people obviously raised eyebrows because why is Mr. Morale on an album with the notorious
Damn, he said normal people, so he calling y'all abnormal.
deadbeat and suspected woman. I wanted to talk about this and how tons of people are using the culture as an excuse to be reprehensible. I mean, this whole thing doesn't sit right with me, and if you speak out against it, people will call you soft, or as I said, use the culture as a shield. But in reality, if this is what the culture is, as in being bad people, harming others, and lacking actual morals, we need to denounce the culture. But I'll talk more about this later. For now,
I will say, people do try to make that excuse all the time. Like, oh, well, so-and-so did this. So at what point do we decide to be better? That's my question to everyone. At what point do we decide we know better, so we should do better? That's all. That's my question to anyone. Go ahead and answer that for me in the comments.
Now, I want to start by saying the album wasn't bad at all. As a person who isn't a fan of this deadbeat, I'd say the album is a solid 7 to 7.5 out of 10.
That's generous. I'm gonna tell you my rating on an album. I'm not hating on it, but if we're going by songs saved, I have 7 to 10 out of 30. So what's that, like a 33% or less? I don't think the album was good. I can't walk away saying it was good, because if we're judging it by him, Cardi, it was essentially a collaborative project. I mean, most of the good songs were good because of the features. So it's like there were some moments on there where I felt like he actually did some cool stuff, had some interesting flows, and the voices thing he played around with, the beats. But overall, like, he got carried on his own project. I'm sorry, like, as a Playboy Cardi project versus his other stuff. Like, yeah, he's had features and stuff, but never to an extent where he was getting carried like this. This is just different. And I feel like, I'm gonna keep it a buck, this might be a hot take, but I feel like Cardi was using the "oh, I'm paying homage" as an excuse to bite niggas' styles. I'll just say it. I think that's what he was doing, because on a lot of them songs, bro sounded like Future, and I've been said that since All Red, and hell, even 2024. He's been biting Future style. Like, why can't we admit this? Just because he working with Future don't mean it's cool. Future probably look at him as his son the whole time. He like, yeah, you can steal my flow. We all know where you got it from, though. And I feel like Cardi at a certain point pushed the sound, and I didn't feel like this was pushing the sound, but then people will say, okay, well, it's paying homage to like the mixtape era and like his influences and stuff. And it's like, I feel like people be saying that as an excuse to just do shit people have already done. So I already know some people ain't gonna like that. It is what it is. Cry about it in the comments. You'll help boost the video.
I didn't feel anything listening to it because, in my opinion, it lacked substance. But it was a collection
all of Cardi's albums lack substance. Come on now.
of hard songs that you could vibe out to in a car.
Substance
Is it
and Cardi in
cornucopia?
the same-
Hell no, because Cardi is not capable
I
of.
wasn't too much of a fan of Cornucopia either. I liked it, but I wasn't. I listened to Igor. The bar was set extremely high. I like it for in terms of like the analysis of himself and the vulnerability and things like that. But in terms of listenability compared to like Igor, nah. It's not there. It's a couple songs off of there, but like I don't even feel like that was the point of this album. So I'm not judging it like off of like how it sounds. Conceptually, it was a good project. But in terms of like listenability, what not really there for me. It's pretty, yeah, it's like one or two songs I'll listen to off of here.
Producing something like that. And also the nigga was using AI on Rather Lie and Find Shit, so that instantly made me like the album less. But overall, if you're
Yeah,
not a fan of
that's
this
lame.
deadbeat and you want to listen to some hard stuff mindlessly, go bump the album. And also Fantano, somehow I don't agree with you even on a Cardi album, which is surprising because I'm not a fan of Cardi. So I mean, you'd expect one of music's biggest critics to, you know, rate that lowly, and me to feel lowly about an artist I already don't like. But I'll give it to Cardi. It wasn't that bad. Anyways, the whole thing started because Kendrick called Cardi his evil twin on good credit. Okay, so number one, Kendrick, you're 37 years old, man, and Cardi is 29. Niggas is too grown to be using this terminology, especially when the evil twin in question is a horrible father, acts like a mistake.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. The Kendrick meat writers, not the supporters, the meat writers are gonna say, okay, well, he said he's his evil twin, which implies that Kendrick is good and Cardi's the evil. Beyond the comparison or the implication that they're cool and like polar opposites or whatever, it is a choice to willingly work with someone with this reputation. I'm tired of people acting like somebody held a gun to Kendrick's head and said, oh, Kendrick, you gotta work with Cardi. He wanted to work with him. Bro was over here doing meat writing ass ad libs on Mojo Jojo. I'm calling it what it is. That was the zestiest, most meat writing thing I've ever seen Kendrick Lamar do in his career. I never thought I'd see him. Oh yeah, just like that, Cardi. Just like that, Cardi. Like what? Boy, slow down. Like, mind y'all, chat. This is one of my favorite artists of all time. So like, it was shocking to me even to see that he was working with Cardi. But like the more I thought about it, I was like, dude, my guy Kendrick literally, I feel like this was the first misstep he made since the beef. He was handling it perfectly. There were some people that brought up Dr. Dre at the Super Bowl, which I personally, I didn't know about anything with Dr. Dre. This was new to me. I heard that he like beat up a youngin, a minor, or like assaulted a minor. Y'all let me know. I'm not allegedly, I don't know what exactly happened. Y'all feel free to give me the history on that. But you know, problematic. We'll just say he was problematic. And I just think in terms of like the strategy, like the fact that he made the arguments of like, oh, like you don't treat women well. And then he said that thing responding to Andrew Schultz talking about black women, protect black women. And then you said he's a deadbeat. Drake's a deadbeat. Then you said them predators moving flocks. As an objective person that don't got meat stuffed down my throat, I can look at those statements and be like, damn, that make his arguments look weaker. Like, just like when I acknowledge when he had a good point, or when like he had a good argument and he got Drake, I'm like, damn, you just like made your own stance that you've made look weaker by working with this guy. Not good looks, bro. Like, why do we gotta pretend like he don't look crazy? Like, Where are the other rational thinking people? Where are y'all at? I know it's some of y'all out there. Please comment below, because I'm not crazy. We're
Mysterious
not
bi
crazy.
vampire, and also apparently women. And if that doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth, bro, you're crazy. Especially when, number one, you have Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and the entire Kendrick v Drake beef. But let's start with Mr. Morale.
Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women.
Nah, he didn't say this. Give me a moment. I'm processing. Kendrick. Bro, this makes him look like a pander. I'm not saying he is, but it definitely make him look like, I've never once ever thought Kendrick was a pander. But I cannot lie, bro. No, he wasn't on stage talk about Godspeed, women right. What he say?
Mr. Morale.
Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights.
Y'all gotta be objective, please. Kendrick Glazers, I need y'all to be objective. You cannot tell me this don't make him look crazy. I don't care if you believe it. I don't care if you're making the argument or you support the argument. You have to acknowledge a dude having a whole arc where he broke down himself as a person and analyzed himself as a person, and then has made this stance about protecting women and black women and all this, and then you talk about Godspeed for women's rights. It's giving, this is crazy to say, but it's giving bro says the right thing to get people on his side and shape his perception. Does this mean he wants to be a savior? No, I think he meant that when he said he's not your savior. But at the same time, part of being better is critiquing things that are hypocritical. And no, just because he calls himself a hypocrite doesn't mean he can't be critiqued. Y'all are insane for thinking that. I don't even think he wants that to be the case. But if Kendrick can own his mistakes, why can't y'all fans, if y'all love him so much for that, why can't y'all acknowledge a mistake? Just because he makes a mistake or does something that's a hypocritical or maybe like a bad move doesn't mean his message is invalid. It just make him look crazy. That's all.
They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights.
I've seen people point towards Mr. Morale as a reason Kendrick shouldn't be collabing with Cardi, and I agree. There was an album about growth and
but then we're gonna have to talk about the Kodak feature. All right, as a Kendrick fan, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. When I saw that Kodak was on the album, and bro is a convicted grapefruitist, that definitely took me aback. I'm not gonna lie. Like that really made me, it disturbed me as a woman, because I understood conceptually why he was there. I guess like, oh, irredeemable people, healing trauma. I personally just don't feel like abusers, especially PDF files, rapists, like, should be platformed at all. Especially from someone like Kendrick that has such a positive platform, because even though conceptually, you know, you're trying to prove a point or whatever, you're still platforming that person when these types of people should not be platformed, because you are essentially not treating something reprehensible or someone reprehensible the way they should be treated, right? We might not be able to stop people from being abusers or being people that assault other people, but what we can do is not make them feel comfortable in certain spaces. And when you lend your platform to someone like that, you are validating them and you are lessening the severity of what they've done, because you, at the end of the day, regardless what concept it was, he collabed with Kodak. That collab alone changed a lot of people's perception and made them empathize with an abuser Convicted abuser, not making accusations and trying to get it back. No, convicted, admitted. So when you collaborate with someone like that, you don't get to just say, oh, it's just for the art and y'all can't critique the stuff he actually did. Certain things, look, artists are not perfect. In fact, a lot of artists are extremely flawed individuals, but you can control who you collaborate with. I didn't even know this. I saw a picture of Kodak Black on stage with Kendrick at his tour. Art aside, he is a predator. You brought him on tour to a crowd of potential victims. How do you have the cognitive dissonance to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to use him for my art, and then I'm also going to bring him in front of a crowd of potential victims that he could do something to again? Like, and then I'm giving him a platform to make people empathize with him despite him doing one of the most heinous things you could possibly do to somebody, right? I really need people to think. And like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's a lack of women's voices in the hip hop space. Okay, it is a severe lack of women. And as a woman, you have to have a bit of cognitive dissonance to listen to rap because of how much misogyny there is towards women. You got men walking women like dogs in a music video in Elite Choppa, you know, women being compared to dogs and animals and objects all the time. You kind of just got to separate it in your brain. Like, but then sometimes I really think about it and I'm like, even the most bright and positive of the rap people we have, like a Kendrick and Cole, are still deeply misogynistic, but yet pro-black at the same time. And it begs the question, okay, how can you be pro-black but yet black women and protecting black women are not a part of it? We're literally the ones that keep the race going, but it's all this empathy for my brothers. But y'all niggas be more pressed about a woman being a hoe or a gold digger than your man's being a predator. We gotta call that shit out. We gotta call it out. It's bullshit. Kendrick got more smoke for two bitches and they both hoes in his album than he do for niggas that are deadbeats, actual bad people, woman beaters, people that assault SA people. Like, we gotta call it out, bro. Because how y'all pro-black, but that only include the black men, your brothers who you can empathize with. It's easier for you to empathize with the men, but y'all don't want to do the work to empathize with the women. Y'all call the woman a hoe. She using niggas, right? But then y'all use the women too. That's the other part that don't get talked about. They talk about the women using men. Y'all use these women for inspiration and to draw spiritual and creative energy from them. Let's talk about how y'all both using each other. Y'all use these women as props, as trophies, as objects to stroke y'all's ego. Right? Kendrick's talked about that. Y'all all know his music. He's talked about that to validate himself and his masculinity. But yet, we don't talk about how it's using on both sides. Like, so it's just, I'm tired of this backwards ass thinking where y'all can conjure up all these reasons to excuse what these niggas do and them not being consistent with their ideals. And there's a lot more outside of just the people Kendrick collab with that could really be talked about, and Cole. Because how you a descendant of the Black Panthers, but yet you're hyper-capitalist? Did you really read and study what they did? Or was that for the aesthetic too? On some shit like when Beyonce popped up at the Super Bowl with the Black Panther-like attire on. We have to ask these questions. These are valid questions. Because at the end of the day, if you understand the politics of the Black Panthers and Black liberations movements, they were not capitalists at all. They were anti-capitalists. It's like Kendrick is like a mix of like Lupe Fiasco, but like leaning towards Jay-Z ideals. And we have to acknowledge the actual history of actual pro-black movements. And even those, I will be talking about this in my next video, even those had a lot of misogyny, right? People don't even realize the black women were the ones who were majority running the Black Panther Party. And even they had to deal with abuse. They had to deal with misogyny. And that's in a pro-black movement. So that's why I say Kendrick really isn't too different than the people who actually were in the field and pro-black, because those women had to deal with that stuff at that time. We cannot move forward and be pro-black anything if women are not humanized and included. You can't only empathize with one half of the race because you're a man. You can't have all this, oh, I got so much understanding in my heart for my brothers that are abusers and deadbeats and rapists. Come on, gang. You got all that empathy in your heart for niggas like that, but you draw the line at a woman being a hoe. Make it make sense. I'm gonna need y'all to make it make sense in the comments, because I know I'm about to have a bunch of people crying and shit in my comments. I don't care, because y'all not gonna get me to not speak the truth. This channel is for me to speak the truth and call it how I see it, and that's what I'm gonna do every time, regardless if someone's my fave, regardless if I love their music and respect their pen. Kendrick's had a lot of the positive influence, but even the most positive of influences make mistakes. And if y'all can acknowledge that, you looking at Kendrick like a god. And ain't that the exact thing he told y'all not to do? Y'all are unironically doing the thing he told y'all not to do. He's not your savior. You don't have to defend everything he does. Let's continue.
Recognizing harmful things Kendrick had been doing, like cheating on his woman. And after making an album about vulnerability and introspection, you're gonna go and start making music with Cardi, out of all people? That's
like, it's one thing if he worked with Cardi before. That's how I feel. Like, I deadass will be able to look at it like, okay, you know what? You start realizing stuff, you're trying to be better. And this is a part of trying to be better. Getting called out for stuff that doesn't make sense. You don't gotta be perfect. I don't expect Kendrick to be perfect, but I don't think it's a unrealistic expectation to ask the guy who talked about protecting women and all that to not collab with the guy that literally choked his pregnant girlfriend out. Pro-black, 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 right? But that don't include the black woman that's carrying a black child, I guess. It only includes grown men that have also made mistakes. Who are grown men that made mistakes, mind you, not kids, grown men. But what about that black child? That black child don't matter? What if the baby died? People don't be thinking about shit like that. He pushed that girl in the ground, had bruises all on her and everything. Red marks around her neck. Like, it ain't no question that he did it.
so weird to me. I've also seen this other side of the coin where individuals say Kendrick has always been this way. He even says so on To Pimp a Butterfly. He's the biggest hypocrite of 2015.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. I'm gonna just talk about it now. Forget it. I don't care how long this video is. I really thought that line hit when I was younger, but as I start getting older, reading, learning history, etc., I realized Kendrick is low-key a hotep. He's a hotep. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but like, I realized the point he was making was I can't call out white on black crime if gang banging and all this makes me kill one of my own brothers. I personally don't feel like you have to only talk about one or the other. And there's a lot of people that have that mentality. It's not just Kendrick. I've had this argument with my family members. You can talk about systemic racism, white on black crime, and black on black crime. It is not an either or. I'm curious where Kendrick stands on that today. But like, that he did not eat with that point the way I thought he did when I was younger.
People have been genuinely using Kendrick's admission to being a flawed human as an excuse to do bad things. So I immediately went to r/Kendrick Lamar, and this is what they had to say. The gentrification of rap beef needs to be studied. I swear to God, realer words have never been spoken on this sub, and people think they're entitled to that gentrification too, which is insane. This is the type of things that people are saying, that this rap beef is being gentrified, when in reality it's not. We're in modern times and nobody wants to support people who lack basic ethics and morals. Tap into some Aristotle. That's some good philosophy. And to elaborate on what I was saying earlier, the culture is whatever at this point. This culture that people want to protect so bad glorifies the worst and only puts other young black men like me deeper into this street mindset. I'm about evolving, I'm about being dynamic, and yet this desire to hold so tightly on a culture that has led so many black people to dead ends really grosses me out. I want to read this small discussion that is within the thread. I think you misunderstand the discussion. Most people who are criticizing him never did put him on a pedestal. It is important to give backlash for the bad things an artist does, even if they themselves admit they are flawed. Self-awareness does not excuse anything. That part. I think people get that Dot knows he's a hypocrite, but I also think people thought he's a hypocrite trying to do better. That's the reason he...
That right there. Ooh, that's so perfectly said. That's so perfectly said. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Where I'm like, I don't think bro's perfect, but at least from the portrayal in the music, I did buy into like, okay, tough circumstances. He's realizing some things along the way. He's trying to be better. That doesn't mean he's not gonna relapse or nothing, but it's certain things where you would think if someone had that type of epiphany, something as small as not working with abusers, you would think that would be like one of the first things that you could easily control. It's one thing if someone's like your family, and I know someone's gonna be like, oh well, Cardi's men's his family wanted Kendrick, man. Okay, whatever, I don't care. That's not his blood family. He didn't grow up with him, none of that, so stop. But it's one thing if it's your family. I could understand that being a little more complicated, which even then, personally, it's not complicated for me. I've cut family off over weird stuff and enabling abusers, etc., etc. So for me, it's not hard for me. It can be hard dealing with the after effects of cutting family off. But for me, I do not want to continue these generational cycles. I do not want to continue these generational curses. I don't want to continue enabling toxic behavior. I don't want to continue enabling abusers or making abusers feel comfortable. And that requires making hard decisions. And that requires sometimes cutting people off. That's just a part of it. And I feel like if he wanted to, he could do that. He just didn't want to.
He went through that self-reflection in the first place, or so people thought. Not gonna lie, that's probably my biggest issue with Kendrick. Rather than using his understanding of his hypocrisy to better himself, he uses it as a shield to give into his impulses. I don't think Kenny is using it as a shield. It's more so his fans are using his self-awareness as a shield from actual criticism.
Yeah, I would say that, because I can't say that Kendrick is doing that. I don't want to believe that's what he's doing. I don't think he's a grifter. I don't think he's a pinner, but I can't sit here and act like it doesn't come off that way when you really analyze it.
Criticism. And personally, I thought he was attempting to use that introspection as a start to being a better human, but apparently not so. But these people have articulated it perfectly. Just because someone is aware they do something bad doesn't mean they can't get criticized for it. If a dude told you he is his wife every day, are you gonna defend him because he said so a decade ago? If a dude told you he is worse than EDP or Diddy, are you gonna excuse it because he said so a decade ago? Obviously not, but apparently it takes extremes to get simple points through people's thick skulls. Now let's look at what Kendrick defines not like us as in an interview with SZA. Not like us? Not like us is the energy of who I am, the type of man I represent. Now if you identify with the man I represent, break the man down for me. This man has morals. He has values. He believes in something. He stands on something. He's not pandering. Morals, standing on something, not pandering. So you're telling me Not Like Us has a strong emphasis on morals, values, and standing on things, yet Kenny goes from Mr. Morale to mysterious deadbeat vampire? Are you serious? And people who idolize Kenny will pander to him and will compromise their morals because they enjoy his music, showing that they are indeed not like us, but Kendrick is also not like us. So what the hell is the point? This man has...
I can't lie, bro. The argument I've seen is like, oh, well, Kendrick was just saying shit for battle raps to get at Drake. Okay, yeah, he was. But the strength behind it was that people believed that he stood on those things he was talking about. Not liking deadbeats. Not messing with men that treat women wrong or victimize women. The predators move in flocks. You are who you surround yourself with. So now it begs the question, if Drake is who the people he hangs around, what does that make Kendrick? If we use the same logic he used, I don't want to do that, but he's the one that put it out there. So, I mean, if we're defining people by their associations, you were choosing to work with Cardi. You chose to work with Kodak and have him on your tour. You chose to work with Dr. Dre and whatever weird cases he got. I don't know about anybody else, but those three I've heard things about.
Condemned Drake for questionable behavior with children, condemned his camp, and on one of his freaking songs has the whole registry markers over Drake's crib as the cover of the single, but went to ATL to collab with one of music's biggest dickheads. And then when you finally take notice of this, Kendrick fans will say you're being soft, or you're gentrifying the culture, or the culture's ruined. But in my opinion,
maybe the culture does need to be ruined.
If you're content with horrible people, no growth, gang violence, and everything that will lead the black youth astray, I'm fine with not aligning with the culture, because after all, I'm not like y'all.
Okay, DH, yo, let me drop my guy a like. Y'all, go check this video out. Good video. Let's see what every rapper is a hypocrite. What? Not every rapper is calling themselves Mr. Morale. Exactly, like what? Let's see. Kendrick is indeed a hypocrite for doing this, calling Drake a deadbeat and saying he makes pacifying music but collaborating with Cardi on the other end. Because there definitely wasn't a deep message behind any of the songs he was on. You know who else is rap's biggest hypocrite? Tupac, NWA. They all, The Game, they're all just major ones I think of with notable contradictions. Nearly every conscious Biggie and M were conscious rappers. Cope. Looks like Cope to me. It's not, it's just let me say how they're gonna make sense of archaeology give him a pass because they're more human due to that extremely weird flaw. Yeah, I don't know about M. You just trying to throw anybody in there, gango. I got flamed under a post from Deleted for saying I look at Kendrick weird for featuring on it. This cult behavior. It definitely is cult behavior. It definitely is. No one called him a hypocrite when he collabed with Future, but now he's a hypocrite for being on a Cardi album. If he wasn't a hypocrite then, how is he now? Because the Future collab was before the beef and before we even heard him make the argument about the deadbeat. Duh. I swear, some of y'all's brains is like, what's that phrase? The lights are on, but nobody's home. Y'all care about the actual people who are doing wrong. Y'all listen to them. Y'all want to use it against Kendrick. It's fake outrage. Simpler do point that someone's like Not Like Us still charge $200 for a concert. Cardi paid hella for that Kendrick feature. It's about money. Speaking of hypocrisy, ain't Kai fan of Cardi even amidst the abusive deadbeat stuff. Really shows his true colors. I wouldn't want my brain associated with all that. But you know these dudes, the clout come first. The clout, the clips, the money come first. I always thought that Drake was kind of weird, but this whole not like us thing is fake from the get-go. I mean, he shouted out Dr. Dre, who has allegations of being on women, abusing them, and now collab with a known deadbeat is making me just want to start separating his art from him. All rappers are hypocrites. It's a natural thing. No. All rappers aren't preaching to people in their songs, bro. Come on, gang. How about doing a follow-up on the points you as covering my personal life? Real question I ask is, where is how he should go about it? Should we continue to separate from the art of the artist, or the art is the artist and should be avoided altogether? There's literally no positive role models besides ourselves. Even we're liable to be trapped in some sort of cycle, because the truth of the matter is that we're all fundamentally hypocritical in some shape or form. So besides learning to deal with it, how can we uplift our communities and cultures the right way without falling into the trap itself? It's going to take more than willpower and a perfectly good moral compass. The competition is ruthless and unforgiving. Let's see. I agree we can separate art from artists, because the art itself is not bad, but I think a good start is we need to further these conversations and be more self-aware rather than being ignorant and listening to the music. We can listen to the music but recognize this person is bad and educate the youth and our peers, but that's just me. Yeah. Start feeling uneasy because he started to feel a little insecure. Get the feeling that he looked the other way for his hero Tupac's violence against women. So he's going to look the other way for every other rapper until it suits him to chant women's rights in a $3 million thorn crown. If Kendrick learned so much of the dirt of Drake and other rappers on his way up, why hasn't he done anything about it that didn't also profit him? I think what people would say to that is not Kendrick's responsibility to do that. My man could go to the Super Bowl, lace meetings all throughout, collect influence for representing important messages, then turn around and boost some punk goblin looking deadbeat over 2,000 miles away from LA. And it's been bothering me a little. Not going to overreact about this, go full on blue hair about it, but I'll be paying attention to see if Kendrick addresses contradictions. I would like to see Kendrick address it. Yeah, like, I couldn't be a fan of Kendrick because of the beef. I stopped being a fan of him months after the beef, and I tried to get back into his music. I could. It just doesn't connect with me. He's a super hypocrite. I'm curious why the beef made them not be a fan. I've just been talking about morals and values and women's rights. And then shout out Dr. Dre at the Grammys. Yeah, I gotta look into the Dr. Dre stuff. I still don't know too much, going on. It's hard to avoid anyone with bad morals. None of my friends have good morals, and I'm still friends with them. Nigga, that's you. I forgot about Kodak got allegations saying he was grabbing his mama booty. Wait, what? Yeah. What? Oh, he's not your savior. You already know. Hey, look, if you made it to the end, I appreciate you. Definitely let me know y'all thoughts. Drop a follow to the Twitch, pull it to the live stream. I'm gonna have a more like in-depth analysis in terms of like Black liberation, Black power movements, and then the whole parallels with the abuse and the normalization of misogyny and et cetera, et cetera. So if y'all want to be, in tune with that, definitely tap in, drop a follow to the Twitch. The link's pinned in the comments and description. I appreciate you guys for checking the video out. I'm about to get out of here, and I might react to something else. Until next time, we're out, guys.